It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God. Of that, there's just no debate on that. You may like it, may not like it. Declaration of Independence, we find these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It goes on in the Constitution to say we are putting together this Constitution in a preamble to secure the blessings, not only for ourselves, for posterity. And that Constitution followed with a Bill of Rights that enumerated those godly rights given to man, including the very first one, which was the right to believe in God and to express that belief anytime, anywhere, including the public square.
33 million. It's proven to the money investors that people want something to feed their souls, not just their worst desires.
Absolutely. And yes, indeed.
This kind of sums up my entire dialogue career on the heat of the night. You ready for this? Okay, this is it. My 7 years on the heat of the night. My dialogue all summarized into this. Get right on it, Chief.
Skinner, but Bubba's my name. I like my iced tea sweet and my women the same. I'm your brown-haired badge here in little old Sparta, but nobody's bigger or tougher or smarter. If you're looking to fight, best not be with me. Gonna be held tight, well now we'll just see. You never know in the heat of the night on TNT. Heat of the night on TNT. Now I don't put on any airs, but then I ain't no slob. Just a redneck boy with a blue-collar job. The ladies I date, they gonna have some fun, 'cause I'm a big hunk of crime fighting son of a gun. So if you're looking to fight, come on up in the ring. You wanna be held tight, just about anything can happen in the heat of the night on TNT. Hubba, 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 heat of the night on TNT. Yeah.
It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX. This is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, why
listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KLTX.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. I'm old Alan Autry, and always honored and humbled to be here. July 5th, the day after America's birthday, and right next to me is Mr. Larry Powell, who's with us most Wednesdays.
Hey, I love Wednesdays, you
Oh,
know.
man, I love Big Wednesday.
Warriors and heroes, Wednesdays.
Yeah, Big Wednesday. You know, that's a surfing term. I didn't know that. Have you ever surfed?
I have, yes.
Have you?
Yes.
Did you?
And,
you actually
you surf
did
on
it?
one leg.
No,
It's kind of fun, though. You know, you got one flopping out there.
And not body surf. Actually surfed on a surf.
Yeah.
I could never do that.
Yeah. No.
I tried, fell off. The surfboard hit me in the head.
I could swim forever. You know, I was one of those, big chested. So, I can get a lot of oxygen in there.
You were hanging 10, baby.
I was hanging 5.5.
Well, welcome to the show, folks. I hope you had a great July 4th, all y'all, and safe July 4th. My goodness, I don't know about y'all, where you live, if it's July 4th is a big deal. But let me tell you, in Fresno, California, over on Palm and Gettysburg, I mean, it sounded like the Tet Offensive. It started about 2 hours before the sun went down, and these things started going off. I mean, Larry, like cannons.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, and it stayed that way till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Get up on the freeway, because that's the place to be, because you're up high and you can see all over the city.
And that's not a bad idea.
Oh, and you know what? The sheriff and the police department are up there looking and pinpointing where those ones that go above the housetop, because you're not supposed to go above the housetop.
That's how they prioritize?
That's how they prioritize.
But I wonder how many went out and made calls on them.
Well, there were a bunch of trucks driving through our neighborhood.
Yeah.
But we're in the county island, so we could
Were
do
the
it.
sirens on?
Sirens were on.
Well, there was a fire out over on right off of down there near the Tower District.
Yeah.
It was an open field.
Yeah.
So apparently they were out there. But anyway, it was people had a great time. And you don't hear me say this very often, but kind of congrats to what they call the mainstream media, the legacy media. In the past, they've tended to, if not completely ignore July 4th, certainly not do a show very patriotic with the music and the fireworks and all that stuff.
Yep.
But NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN actually covered it, and you could say they got sniffing distance towards patriotism on it.
They did. Yeah, it was cool.
With the music, Lee Greenwood was singing everywhere. God bless the USA. And
I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it.
CNN even covered Zach Brown. They're in Memphis, Tennessee, I believe it was.
I love it.
So, tip of the hat to those folks for saying, you know what, for one day, let's all at least, celebrate the fact that this miracle called the United States of America, 'cause it wasn't a miracle.
Oh, amazing.
Our forefathers and mothers going up against the strongest military the world had ever seen, with a ragtag group of freedom fighters that just pulled off the biggest upset. If it was a sports instead of war, it would have been the biggest upset ever in the history of sports. Would be our little Revolutionary Army beating the British Army.
Clearly, yes.
Okay, let's go before we're waiting on Guillermo. Well, we're not going to wait on Guillermo. Guillermo will be here when Guillermo gets here. A few things happened before we get to the subject, the big subject I would like to talk about. It's been on my to discuss list now for about 2 or 3 weeks, which is the seemingly decline in faith. People that believe in God in America, in particular, the younger generation, the Generation Z, steep decline into secularism and some downright atheist beliefs on the rise there with that particular age group. And is there a correlation between what is clearly by every poll that you could take, conservative or liberal, that says patriotism here in America is on the decline? But before we get to that, they're having some trouble over there in France, boy. My goodness. That's people say, well, America, why do you say you love America? Why is America, you say it's a great, I had this discussion the other day, an individual who I deeply respect. He says, well, it just bothers me when you say America is the greatest country in the world. I said, well, okay, let's take your premise. Which country is?
Where would you rather go?
Yeah.
I mean, would you want to go to France? Obviously. I mean, you can retire when you're 55, I guess, there.
All you got to
Sip
do
wine all day.
is find someone who was granted correct legal permission to come to the United States from another country, especially Iron Curtain countries or those kind of places, or where you have dictators, and they just absolutely love America, and they don't understand why someone who was raised here could hate America. He said, the freedoms we have are just incredible, absolutely incredible. And the right to earn money, the right to go to church, the right to do whatever you want, say what you want about somebody. Remarkable.
But they say, well, there's so much racism in America, systemic racism. Well, is there not any in Germany? If you want to go to Germany, that's kind of
There were 6 million racisms
in Germany. You don't want to go to Great Britain. You won't find racism there.
North Korea.
France, North Korea. How about the Middle East? You want to go over there to Qatar? You want, especially if you're a woman.
Oh boy!
You want to get out of the United States and get over there to Saudi Arabia as quick as you can.
Yeah, where you have
because
a lot of
they're
freedom.
the greatest country in the world over there. Just ask KSM or whatever his name is. In between chopping up journalists, and slapping women that don't wear their burqa. I mean, when you sit down and think about it, is there a country in South America would you rather go to? I mean, just give me. Where would you rather be? Where can you go and find more freedoms as a individual or an ethnicity, a particular ethnicity? Where can you go? You want to go to China? Yeah, everybody seems to love China.
Yeah.
Trudeau up there in Canada wishes he was Xi Jinping. He loves what they're doing in China. You want to go up there for you want to live there? You want to, when COVID outbreaks, you want to be cemented into your apartment?
Yeah.
Starved it. But I was thinking about it the other day because I would listen. I'd want you to, is there some obscure country that we don't know about or don't talk about much that is Camelot, that makes America such a horrible place to live that's where you would want to go? Because I look at statistics, I looked it up the other day according to the census, in other countries all over the world, there's only 3.9 million American-born people living in foreign countries.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
3.9 million. In the United States, there's 49.7 million who were birthed in another country that moved here.
That must tell you something.
That were born in another country that came here.
Wow.
Okay.
I love that statistic.
Not the dreamers, not that were born here from parents that were there. These are people that were
chose to come here.
49.7 million. Now, we're a country, 330 million, 350 million?
Yeah.
That's a huge percentage.
Incredible.
That decide to come to this systemically racist. You know about, Larry? I just got an inkling they're all not white people from Belfast, Ireland. I just got a feeling. I think there's probably a very diverse group racially, religiously, socioeconomically. Now, I'm going to dig into those numbers. I'd like to know that too. But anyway, I just, coming on the heels of July 4th,
that's cool.
And that's not said out of, America, love it or leave it. I think the ultimate form of patriotism is to constantly be vigilant on our freedoms that we promise people.
Yep.
And when they start skewing over anywhere near the direction of dictatorship, despotism, or even, it's Marxism doesn't really happen overnight. Reagan said we're only one generation away from losing our freedoms, and I buy that, but it's still a kind of a gradual process. But I'm totally 100% behind questioning and this great country to make sure that we're living up, at least pursuing the goal of living up to our potential as a country. We're one nation under God, individual with liberty and justice for all. Now, did you notice that thing, that phrase? It didn't say just Americans. It said for all. We have an obligation to the rest of the world to be a bellwether, a lighthouse of freedom, an example of freedom. So, Larry, what are your thoughts on that? I mean,
well, folks, I don't know if you're familiar with the Barna Group. George Barna started a thing called the Barna Group, and they evaluate religion in America, for example. And you can find some fantastic statistics on what's going on in America, and there still are a significant number of people who go to church on a regular basis for all the right reasons, not just for socially, should be in church or that kind of thing. They go for the right reasons. But if you talk about it, and one of the other things, Alan, you're wanting to talk about a little bit today is Christianity and patriotism and things. But I think what we fail to realize is when you have it so good, you fail to honor how good you have it. And I just think, we become complacent, and when complacency replaces love for your country, yeah, you're in trouble. And I just look forward to this new generation. And by the way, the new generation is accepting more religion than ever before. The new generation is starting to ask the right kinds of questions about why aren't we, honoring America. So we go through cycles, and we're in one of those down cycles a little bit with people questioning everything. But I'll tell you what, people are getting sick and tired of all the woke left kind of stuff going on, and they're going to do something about it, And I think one of the best examples is Budweiser. I mean, when you think about it, how in the world were they able to pull that off? And people respond across the board that was a stupid commercial. If nothing else, it was a stupid commercial that caused Bud Light to lose its preeminent place in America. But I think people are just at that tipping point. I've had enough of wokeness. Let's get back to self-responsibility, to also, and self-responsibility means this. I also take care of my neighbor, which we've done in America for many, many years. It's not like we didn't take care of each other before, but,
Can you take care of each other through Zoom?
it's a lot tougher.
we're just losing face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball, the hugs and
knee
stuff.
to knee, yeah.
You
over food together,
yeah. That's what concerns me, is that personal touch that you to sit down and eyeball. You just can't.
Do you remember all the
help somebody through?
No, exactly. You remember all the free time we were going to be given, the leisure time through having,
yes.
All of the internet stuff we're going to have. It's absolutely tethered us to a device that is on 24/7. Even at night, if we hear the buzz, you get up and see who contacted you, what news thing came in. We're no longer free from that tether. That tether is a part of who we are. And it's such a sad thing, because you're right. How in the world do I develop as a person if I can't see other people, touch other people? And Alan, one of the interesting things in education, we know this: if the tactile sense, that touch, is withdrawn from kids, they have tougher time in school. They have a hard time getting along with people. They don't learn as quickly or as easily. Touch is one of those appropriate things that helps affirm who you are as a person.
Well, hasn't that belief, that analysis, because of COVID and what happened to our children that weren't allowed to come to school, hasn't that made the transition from a theoretical argument to a factual argument with the data that we're getting in of these kids and all the mental health issues that we're not facing in the percentage that prior to COVID? You always had mental health issues.
Absolutely.
But you can clearly see when these kids were deprived of going to school. And I said on Jim Franklin's show in early 2020, I said, when they were talking about the schools, he said, we're getting ready to make a decision. This country is going to rule for generations when you keep kids away from school, because I know what school meant to me. And I had a happy, I was okay at home. I wasn't abused at home.
No.
But kids need other kids, even if you're having a tough time. If your kid is socially awkward, or they need to go to school to work through that. If you're not doing that, you can hide from that. And that social anxiety, that social awkwardness never gets a chance to be remedied, to be worked on, because how you're saying you do what you fear, witness the death of fear. I was told completely enveloped and dominated by social anxiety. And school helped me through that. And there was tough times there.
Yeah.
You had the bullies and all that stuff. But that was taken from these kids. And now we have, suicide rates off the chart. Kids just so traumatized they didn't want to go to school. They've been conditioned to not value a structured environment.
Sure.
So they're pushing back behaviorally in pretty much every single
social activities
school.
Are only learned when you're social.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing is a 2-year learning loss, which we had with COVID, at least a 2-year, maybe longer. But a 2-year learning loss is a 4-year learning gap.
Mm-hmm.
So it can take you 4 years to catch up on the 2 years you lost. Now, not all catch up in that 4 years. Some take 6, some take 7. So we've got kids now that if you were a second grader, it may be by the end of your 6th or 7th grade year before you're even close to where you were in your learning relationships with how much I should know at this point of time in my education. And I mean, we're so far behind, it's going to be forever catching up.
And it's just, the thing is, it didn't have to happen
at all.
They didn't do it in Florida. A couple other states didn't do it. Got through COVID fine. There wasn't a bigger spread of the COVID virus than others, in fact, less than those who locked down. And it's nothing less than a national tragedy of what we've done, abusing these kids. And we're going to play, trying to shovel our way out of this and get back. We're going to take a quick break. I just saw Guillermo come in. He's going to be joining us in the next segment. And this is Alan Autry, No Retreat. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.
Once upon a time, it dressed so fine, through the bumps of time in your prime.
That's kind of an oxymoron.
Folks on social media, we're looking off camera. We got both CNN and Fox
Hunter
televised
Biden prosecutor. That's not a real word.
Yeah. See, I don't know about you folks, but you can just take the political bent or slants that most of us, the vast majority, have, leaning one way or another politically. Just looking at the Hunter Biden stuff, you've got to look into that. You can't do what the government did, just shelve this document that one of your top IRS officials presented to you, saying that, this man has been hiding millions of dollars. There appears to be strong evidence that there's a pay for play with Vice President of the United States at the time, Joe Biden. And you just can't make the arbitrary decision not to follow up on that. Because you talk about, it's not like some fly-by-night Christopher Steele dossier stuff you got going. This is one of your top, individuals that you paid a lot of money to for the accuracy of their job that they do. And you look at this and you just make a decision. Well, it's campaign year. We're not going to follow up on it. And therein, you got to, does that make you some right-wing Alex Jones wacko to say this should be followed up on? I don't think so. I don't think you think so either. I mean, some far left. I have some very good friends that are really to the left. And they started out, very skeptical about this Hunter Biden thing. And I don't blame them.
1 minute.
But I said, if more evidence comes in, and even me at the time, I have to see what this is. Well, more evidence has come in till you have what some would say a preponderance of evidence that says you need to at least examine this and have a special counsel. My goodness, you had this crazy dossier, and that was based on bar talk, and you get a special prosecutor Mueller to go after Trump.
No, we don't like them. That's all the reasonable suspicion
30
we need.
seconds?
Yeah,
we're suspicious of them.
And you can't go on together with suspicious minds. We can't build our dreams on suspicious minds.
Oh, man.
Elvis said it better than anybody. We can't go on together with suspicious minds. We can't build our dreams
10 seconds.
on suspicious minds.
They don't make music like that anymore.
No, they don't.
5 seconds.
Okay. Acting funny. Talk to me. Come on now. Talk to me.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town.
What the fools do.
15,
What the fools do.
KXAX.
What do they do? But what, E? But I can't. Doing what? Falling in love. Something happened to
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show. KXEX 1550 AM.
I got
Fresno, California.
Got some of that old white lady that's just found at the White House. That's what used to go cocaine back in the 70s, the white lady.
Was it really?
You've been dating a white lady, I see.
That's discriminatory now. You can't say that.
Oh, yeah, you can. White lady and acquainted with drugs, have a field day with that one. There ain't nobody going to come after you like that.
Man.
What do you make of that? Before we get into faith and patriotism, is there a correlation between the decline of both? Which I've been trying to get to for several weeks. It was on my to-do list, and for some reason we never get to it. But cocaine in the White House. Now, be truthful, folks out there. Whether you love Joe Biden, hate Joe, I mean, you might be the wokest but come on. When you hear cocaine in the White House, is there's one name that comes to your mind? Come on, it's not going to make you white.
It's not going to take much to hunt for it.
Yeah, no, just come on, Hunter Biden. You know, if they found a fried bologna sandwich in the White House, and I just visited it, they would think, there's Autry, the Okie, he likes fried bologna sandwiches. I would be the likely suspect. And I'll freely take that suspicion. But you know what? Cocaine at the White, confirmed. And you know what confirmed it? CNN, not Fox, CNN. What do you make of that? Let's play detective. All right, we'll start with you, Guillermo.
Wait.
Who's the likely suspect?
I thought you were joking.
No.
When did they find the cocaine in the White House?
God, where have you been?
Celebrating America.
Oh, that's true.
When did they find cocaine?
They were celebrating America too in the White House. I got his new name. Trump's gonna, you know Trump's gonna be at it. Snorting Joe Biden. You know that's gonna be the new name.
Was this?
And I got his name for Chris Christie.
Today or yesterday?
Yes, you.
Oh, you know they're gonna say that something that is Trump left it there. Behind that's the way Trump left it there behind a book, and they haven't cleaned that bookshelf.
He was able to get all of the papers out,
but
he couldn't get the cocaine out.
No, they'll go really, really for some crazy. Like Dana Perino left it in there from the Bush administration.
Oh, I like Dana. She's a good lady.
No, are you saying they found cocaine?
They found cocaine in the White House. In the White House.
But they're guaranteeing that in the west side, the Rose Garden area, it was where visitors had come.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't anybody in the White House.
Now that security tape that had this drug sniffing dog chasing Hunter Biden across the South Lawn was really not going to be released.
That was for a movie.
Hunter last week was donning a red backpack. Did you see that? I thought that was the weirdest thing. You're the president's son. He's about to get on Marine One. And he's got like a Dora the Explorer red backpack on. And I thought that was just really weird.
Yeah, it's
make someone else carry your stuff at least. You know,
the left's trying to downplay it. Did you see that? I'm not, but this is serious.
Shocker.
They went, well, yeah, it's cocaine. It could have been somebody brought it in.
Could have been sugar.
Visitor. No, they
flour.
CNN just said they analyzed it. It is cocaine.
CNN analyzed.
CNN.
Story just gets better. So we had cocaine in the White House, the substance.
The Cocaine News Network. CNN, man. They tested it. It is freaking cane.
Are we serious?
Totally.
You're
totally serious. And they said they're trying to just brush it off. Well, you know, Willie Nelson freely admits that he smoked marijuana when he visited Carter during the Carter administration up on the top of the White House there. And then apparently, ironically and strangely enough, Snoop Dogg admitted that he had lit up a blunt there. I don't know what administration it was. And I don't think Snoop Dogg did either.
Well, I have respect for him because him and Martha Stewart get along now.
Listen, the media is having a field day with this because they want a blow-by-blow account.
I did not.
A blow-by-blow account. You know, that's how far I've gone. I would have never laughed about something like this back in the old days. But I really thought America had a chance to survive. Cocaine at the White House. Jeez, what's wrong with me?
Let me ask you that. What
is wrong with me?
What if that makes
That's horrible.
What if that
Cocaine in the
makes
White House.
What if it makes somebody there more productive?
Yeah.
You know, more with it.
It's going to crack a lot of people up.
So you're saying that Karine Jean-Pierre should start...
You missed your call as a comedian, man.
I tell you, it's just blows my mind.
Yeah, blows.
Snorting Joe Biden. It couldn't be him, could it?
Not a chance.
Huh?
Not a chance.
He didn't know
He'd
what.
probably, if he
dropped it when
He says,
fell
Mr.
that time.
President, is Splenda. It's Splenda.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, great.
It's.
Did you see Cocaine Bear?
Truvia. What's that?
Did you see Cocaine Bear? Baby the bear left there.
All right, let's move. What they say on the internet now? I mean, it's. I don't know whether they're going to be able to trace.
They got more jokes.
They should
going.
be able. Where did they find it? What part of the
West Wing?
In the West Wing?
That's why I'm saying when they're trying to say
My
that
voice
it
went
was
up
visitors that must have dropped it.
So we're
How
letting
many visitors
just
are in the West Wing?
Holy cow! Is that for real? They found it. Now I didn't know that.
Well,
I'm with you. I didn't know it was
here,
at the West Wing.
Yeah, can't even fathom anything like this having been found before in the West Wing.
Well, and it was just see, it's not the fact that you have that many dumb people in the West Wing doing drugs is dumb enough, but to leave it there.
Yeah.
At least take it with you.
Well, I know.
Have some dignity, man. Respect the office. Do the cocaine and leave.
Oh my God!
MSNBC's,
right there on the Resolute desk.
Yeah, MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell has been around for many, many years. Said, I can't imagine anything like this. Can't even fathom it since the 70s in the White House. They've never found anything like this. So this is
what
pretty
they find
wild.
in the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. He's going to come out there, and Biden's going to come out and blame it on Putin. Well, Mr. President, Putin hasn't been in the West Wing. Oh, that you know of. He was out there the other day going, happy St. Patrick's Day.
There's no there.
I'm just kidding.
No
I said
there.
I would never make fun of Joe Biden's age. Joe Biden has been known for these gaffes ever since he was a youngin'. So I'm making fun of the gaffes, not the age. I won't do that.
Co-host Gail King said this: are people careless with their cocaine and drop it? Carol King. Gail King. Yeah. I mean, there's jokes all over the place.
I just can't right now.
Another panelist said, I can't believe they'd leave it behind. It's too expensive.
In this economy.
God, I'm just speechless. Cocaine gate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and you know,
I'm anxious to hear what Trump has to say.
Well,
he's going to come out with something, like you said.
Every Republican candidate is trying. They staff meeting immediately. How do we take advantage of this?
Maybe Corn Pop does exist.
Gives you a new idea of Schoolhouse Rock.
Oh my gosh! But they should be able. They should be able to track this back because they've diminished the universe to the West Wing.
We can't even keep top secret documents in the building. What makes you think we're going to be able to figure out who got cocaine in there?
Did they get even more specific? Where in the West Wing? Was it on a desk? Was it in the bathroom? Was it on Joe Biden's desk or what?
Blaming Hunter is right on the nose, I'm telling you.
But the West Wing, I mean, that's the president's desk. I've been by that. And the West Wing is a small.
You've been in the Oval Office?
Yeah. It's a really small office.
Really?
I mean, yeah. And, you got to have a little bit of juice to be able to get in there.
6 visitors got diverted through there, I'm sure.
Huh?
6 visitors.
Well, they're going to go on Trump that he planted it.
Yeah.
Trump operative got in there and planted the cocaine on Hunter.
Had a way to drop it in later after he was gone.
And they shoved it up Hunter's nose. I mean,
they forced it up his nose, yeah.
Yes.
I didn't want to take it, but they made me.
Right when he was painting. He was like, yes, I was in the middle of painting and they grabbed me and stuck it in my nose. Okay, let's take a break. We come back. I want to talk about, this show's getting away from me again, and we're still not going to talk about the subject of faith and patriotism on decline. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to gather ourselves and get the cocaine bear out of our minds for a little bit. I know it's hard.
Cracking jokes about
talk about some. Well, it's serious. The cocaine thing's serious too. But we'll be right back. All right.
We just wanted to celebrate America.
That's right.
Oh my gosh! Look at everybody's going on strike now. UPS, Teamsters. They're going to get everything they can out of this administration. Why? Let me ask you this. Why are federal employees allowed to strike? I mean, as a member of the armed forces, you can't strike.
That's so true.
Why, if you're on we're paying your paycheck, are you allowed to strike and just say, we're going to withhold our services to you? We're going to shut down the parks. We're going to, the air traffic controllers tried to do that with Reagan.
Yeah.
And he just replaced them.
It's like a kid throwing a tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
You just let them do it. They're going to keep doing it.
Now, in this case, it's Teamsters. They're a private. I don't know if they have contracts with the federal government or not.
Oh,
do they,
they do.
Oh, the Teamsters? Oh.
Yeah.
We need to go on strike. Oh, wait.
Man, it's too hot to walk a picket line. I love you, and I love you, this station, but I'll walk for like 5 minutes up there with a nice coffee from Starbucks.
Oh, man.
The National Labor Relations Act allows, under Section 7, federal employees to go on strike as a concerted activity protected by this section. So they can. Pretty crazy.
I don't know. I just, it's something not right about that.
Where'd you spend the 4th?
We had a great time with about 25 people at Swift and Del Mar, a little county island in Fresno where we could blow off all the firecrackers we want.
Really?
It was a great time. Now, the problem was...
A cherry bomb.
All of the...
the old cherry bomb?
No, what you do is take Whistling Pete's and you take a little hammer and you pound the middle of them and they create a little pocket. So they go, shoo, and then boom, they really explode. They'll knock your ears out, And if you're not careful, they'll knock your fingers off because they go fast,
Holy cow.
Yeah. We had a great time, though.
That's some serious fireworks.
I
don't know. They might hire you as a consultant in Ukraine, man. Larry, can you come to Ukraine and bring your fireworks with you?
We had the Komodo.
Imagine Zelensky, I don't need a ride. I need Larry's fireworks.
30 seconds?
It's a lot cheaper.
Did you see Zuckerberg's going to start
his own Twitter.
On Twitter?
Yeah.
Start his own Twitter?
Yeah.
It's a rival Trump.
Gosh, where have you been? You don't know about the cocaine in the White House.
Like
you don't know about
10
Zuckerberg.
seconds?
Man, is Jerry still mayor?
5
He
seconds?
will be mayor forever.
Oh,
gosh.
In
In our friend's mind, bless his heart. Turn it up.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat. We're going to get into the subject real quick of faith and patriotism. Both seem to be on the decline, if you believe the polls here in America. And I want to talk about that. But first, quickly, really important stuff. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg are going to fight in an MMA fight. That's not hyperbole. That's going to happen. Dana White said they're ready to go. Who do you pick? Who wins?
Musk.
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg's going to win.
Well, he's doing
He's 51 years old, Musk. Zuckerberg's 39. And he's been studying this jiu-jitsu. He wins jiu-jitsu tournaments. This thing's going to be over in 15 seconds.
Well, Elon Musk...
He's going to tear Musk a new one.
I think Musk will come up with a new something.
I think he'll cheat. If he beat him, he's going to have to cheat. He's going to have another guy jump in there.
That's right.
Would you pay? Hold on. Here's a question. Would you pay the pay-per-view fee to see it?
Absolutely.
Me too. See, that's what's wrong with this country.
That is what's wrong with this country. I've talked to it. We'll have a party over at the house.
I wouldn't pay, but I'd come to the party.
You're coming.
By the way, I need to correct something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Federal employees can't strike. That National Labor Relations Board is actually only for private employees. So federal can't strike, but they do.
Oh, wait a minute.
No, legally they can't, but it's a matter of will you enforce the law?
Remember, we don't enforce laws anymore.
Oh, it's kind of like the border.
Yeah.
Kind of like the border.
Okay. All right. Statistics show, study after study, that belief in God is going down in this country. I think about 15, 20 years ago, it was 76%, I think, people identified themselves as believing in God, and a big percentage of that, I think 72, 73%, identified as Christian. And that's gone down to like in the 60s. Patriotism sort of the same deal. I think it was near 80% about 20 years ago. Again, don't hold me to these numbers. It was something close to that effect. Consider themselves patriotic. Now that's plummeted to in, I think, the 60s or even less. And in the Generation Z, the young'uns, the ones on the heels of the millennials, Guillermo's group, millennials, you're seeing a precipitous drop in belief in God and patriotism. What's going on? Who wants to take this first?
They're just being a bunch of babies, Alan. That's going. They're being a bunch of entitled, very, very narrow worldview babies. This caught my eye yesterday.
Now, are you talking about faith and patriotism? Both of them being
patriotism first. Yeah.
Okay. So let's take the patriotism. Go ahead.
So this came on my feed yesterday. Young people skip controversial 4th of July. After George Floyd, Roe v. Wade, America isn't for everyone anymore. And they talk about just what you're talking about, Gen Z and the millennials. They're disenchanted with America because subjectively they feel that this is not a great country. And they feel that way because we are a very spoiled nation. And I'm not going to just blame them. I'm all Americans.
That's what they say?
Yeah, that's what I said.
I thought they said that.
No. They said that they're disenchanted. They didn't even celebrate the 4th of July because they dislike America that much.
I'll bet they took the day off, though.
Oh, exactly. I bet you they did, and I bet you they didn't volunteer at the homeless pantry.
That's
they
correct.
didn't volunteer trying to make the place better. They chose to stay home, sleep in, and complain and become what are they called? Keyboard warriors. The problem is these kids don't have a worldview, and may I dare say it, and they weren't taught this.
I was going to ask them, Larry, if you agree with
elementary
Guillermo,
school,
if you believe what Guillermo's saying, why? I mean, why does this happen? Why? First of all, do you believe that the polls, the data is correct?
Well, there's two data points that you need to know. One is 81% of Americans believe in God. 30% go to church. Okay, so the church attendance number is less than those who believe in God. So what they've lost in COVID allowed this to happen in an exacerbated way, allowed you not to go to church by watching online. So it made it easier.
But Larry, wasn't it going down before COVID?
It was going down, but not nearly as fast. Okay. Yeah. So it precipitated, it increased the whole decline of attendance, but not necessarily belief. Now, belief is down because we were at 90% through much of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and on. But as soon as we hit the 2000s, you started to see a slight decline in belief, but a little bigger decline in attendance. So the attendance is what has...
I know what the culprit is.
What's that?
Social media. Hear me out.
Has a lot to do with it. I agree.
Hear me out. We're not patriotic because we have cell phones in our hands. When I was growing up, I talked to my friend. I wanted to call a girl when I was younger. I had to talk to the parents. I had to call the landline. You had to engage. You had to interact. I knew in the small town of Kerman that I lived in, Kerman. I had no global view. America was great. It was what they told me it was, right? And I bet you the lefties are like, oh, see, there's where you were indoctrinated. Whereas now these kids at such a young age are seeing everything from all around the world. Yeah. And they're getting these videos that are highly edited that make China look amazing, that make Canada look like it's such a green, lush forest. Everyone's having a good time. So they begin to hate them. They begin to hate where they're at. And it's the same thing that these young girls are looking at. They're looking at these models. They're looking at these highly photoshopped women, and they're thinking to themselves, you know what? They're better looking than I am. Everything is better than my current situation. And it's the same thing that's happening.
You blame that on the country. I mean, in their minds.
In their mind, yeah. They're blaming it on the country. This isn't a great country, and it's the same thing with church.
Because if the country was great, I wouldn't have these problems.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have these. Larry, what is the correlation, if any, in your mind between the decline of faith in this country? This is a rising tide of atheists. Back in the day, even if you're atheist, you didn't come out and say it. Now kids, they're buying into this.
They're wearing
Friedrich
it.
Nietzsche.
They're tattooing themselves.
Remember that name, folks. Friedrich Nietzsche was a German philosopher in the late 1800s. He's the one that came up with God is dead. These Generation Z quote this individual like he was God. But anyway, Larry, is there, and then Guillermo, why don't you give me your opinion, is there a correlation? Is there a connection between those two, the decline of those two? Or are they both separate silos?
I think you really have to keep in mind belief and attendance have to be separated out, because you got to remember in the South, and Alan, when you did your show down south, everybody went to church on Sunday because that was a social norm that was expected. The social norm of church attendance has declined, and the internet has posed the reason for that, I think, in many ways. But what's happened is we now have we have people who will affirm the excuses that we've always had to be allowed to use. We're now allowed to use excuses we always wanted to use. So we've got somebody out there will say, yeah, it's okay for you not to go for the following reasons. And if one of my reasons I didn't want to go is there, then, mom and dad made me do it. Well, mom and dad can't make me do things anymore. You'll find somebody that says that.
But what my problem with how I phrase the question is there a correlation? Do church goers become more patriotic? Are church going people more patriots? And
Yes.
are patriots more church goers?
Yes.
What's the correlation there, if there is one in your mind?
Structure. The correlation is choice and God-given rights. If you're a Christian, you understand that. You understand that you have the freedom to choose. And there
Not
is
rights given by man, but rights given by God.
Exactly. And there's a structure. There's a family unit. The parents say something. That's the way it's going to go for 18 years. There's that structure and that love of country. So I think there's a direct correlation. And we're seeing it. We're seeing look at Europe. Same thing's going on there.
Could it be that the country was founded on documents that clearly and unabashedly point to God as the author of the rights of men and women, and that because these are documents that are basically the rules of your country, here's the referees, if you will, of fairness, and in those documents are a reliance upon God. We are endowed by our Creator. We're certain inalienable rights, not endowed by dictator A, B, C, and D. The rights given by Xi Jinping or or whomever, but by our Creator.
But a young person.
So will a person be willing, more apt to go and fight to defend those godly principles? But if they feel like it does not have a divine directive, this country, if there's nothing special about it, it's just another political system. So where all you see is the flaws, then what reason is there to preserve it? I'm just thinking out loud here, because there seems to be a connection between patriotism and belief in God. Being proud of your country and patriotic seems to connect very strongly with a strong belief in God.
But that's true in Russia. Take the Russian Orthodox Church. Okay, the Russian Orthodox Church also has strong patriotism. So there is a correlation, but it's not a singular correlation in America. And it also has to be broken down by the groups within churches. So whether it's Jewish or Islam or whatever, there is an alliance, an allegiance to certain social norms and other kinds of things from whatever your point of belief is. Now, if you take evangelical Christians, for example, I would say what your hypothesis is right on. There tends to be a very strong correlation between evangelical Christians and patriotism. That is, and it goes both ways. Because what do we do in church on Veterans Day? The Veterans Day that's closest to the Sunday, we have all veterans stand and be recognized. In evangelical churches, it's just, if you served in the armed forces, please stand, and we all clap and recognize that. You don't see that in other denominations, okay? So there is a correlation there. But you also find in some Christian groups a very, very strong left-leaning, because they take only the social side of the gospel, because the gospel has social side, but it also has responsibility side. What we find is people don't like to put both of them together, okay? So,
preach it.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we are with that.
So do you believe when patriotism and faith, when one falls down, do you think it drags the other with it? Patriotism goes down, it drags faith with it. And when faith goes down, it drags faith.
I think what's happened over the last 50 years in America is we've been allowed to do some of the stupidest things I've ever seen and allowed to fall away from loving America, loving church, loving family. We've been encouraged to be yourself to the exclusion of everything that makes us American.
And social media is how to.
Social media is
it's the me
the
generation.
driving force that makes it happen, because I can be a 12-year-old, have this silly iPhone in my hand, and if it's not refereed by my parents, I can read anything on there, and because I see it in print, I believe it's true. So we've lost the refereeing. And, you remember in the old days, in my neighborhood, if I did something wrong 4 doors down, my mom got a call from Mrs. Jones. We don't know our neighbors. There's a really good book that I'd recommend to people. You know what?
The Chinese Communist Party knows more about your kids than you do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Through the iPhone.
Yeah.
Through this stuff right here.
Yeah.
They know your children more than we know our children. I mean, that's not a hyperbole to say that.
Do you know what has destroyed America along with, the internet? The garage door opener. And let me tell you why.
I love my garage door opener.
Yeah, let me tell you why. You no longer have the front porch where people congregated.
Oh, boy.
I don't have to know my neighbors anymore. I click the button, I open the door, I drive in, I close the door. I don't need to know anybody that lives around me.
You don't have to say really hi to Mrs. Jones across the street.
I don't even wave at
busybody
Mrs. Jones anymore.
Everyone's skeptical. Like, why is Mrs. Jones looking at me?
Do you remember barbed wire in America and garage door openers had the same effect? It changed the openness of America.
Wow. So what happens?
That is
what happens. Just put your your what if hat on. Just be a little looking forward to the future here. If this country proceeds down this path and becomes a majority secular, non-believing country, what will America look like?
Like
Guillermo?
Europe.
New York City.
Gosh, I don't even want to imagine it now. I don't want to imagine that. I don't think we'll ever get there, because I sometimes I feel like we definitely get on the track of like, man, it's not going to happen, doom and gloom. But every generation of Americans has risen to the occasion. It's just a different battle. So maybe this is our battle. This is our battle of knowing how to deal with so much power in our hands, knowing how to deal with an ever-changing world. So I don't think we'll ever get there. I think we're always going to faith will never die. The church will never die.
But I agree with that.
But we know
the numbers will diminish.
Yeah, the Bible tells us it gets pretty bad before it gets better.
Yeah.
And is this now the time?
Alan, I've used this word with you a lot of times.
Inculcation. Go ahead.
Let me read the
very,
definition.
very good word.
When you instill an attitude, idea, or habit by persistent instruction. So what has happened is we've consistently now and persistently said it's okay to do the following things. It's okay to mistreat people. It's okay to do all kinds of things. It's okay to be concerned more about myself than other people. It's okay to do, just make the list. And what we have done is we have inculcated this generation, the young generation, into believing there are no prohibitions anymore.
So let me ask you this. How do you turn it around? Let's take the hypothesis that we are going downhill in terms of belief in God and patriotism. How do you turn it around? Because I think you hit the nail right on the head with young people.
Yeah. Well, in California, you follow the law, which is do a patriotic exercise every morning, first period, in the first class you have every day.
But do you see that happening under the structure that we have now? Or does there have to be a complete revamping of the educational system, which includes vouchers, school choice, a rise in private school, a rise in private Christian schools, Jewish schools, Muslim schools, because you're seeing something really, I forget what city is in. It might be Baltimore. I might be probably way wrong on that. But what I'm not wrong about is this coalition of Muslims,
Ann Arbor,
Jews,
Michigan, Ann Arbor
and
has
Christians
them as well. Yeah.
Going after the school board
Ann
saying,
Arbor, Michigan.
Saying you can't teach this gender transition stuff to my kindergartner. to the kids.
Right.
And you're seeing this coalition based around faith. Although
because
the religions may differ.
Yeah, because I don't want that taught doesn't mean I dislike transgenders. And yet that's what they've equated it as.
Exactly. But the gender thing is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
The whole system's not teaching American history. And Guillermo pointed this out. I think it was you the other day. If you ask a Generation Z kid, and certainly the ones behind Generation Z, you say, tell me something about George Washington. They won't say first president, they'll say slave owner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what they're being taught.
Scary, isn't
it? So how they're being taught that system that we trust, okay, make slave owner part of the conversation, but don't start it out with slave owner. That's not the total identity. And what you mentioned first, as egregious as it was, did you mention that George Washington in his will said he wanted his slaves released upon his death? Did you talk about, now granted, and I had this conversation with somebody the other day, well, that doesn't make him a good person. I'm not saying there's not a good person walking the earth. According to my faith, we all sin and fall short of the glory of God. We're talking about human beings.
Yeah.
But can this country turn it around with the education system being so itself inculcated, teachers inculcated, systemically inculcated with anti-American and anti-God philosophies that imbues everything that they teach from history to science? Can that be turned around?
Yeah. We're losing so many teachers because of COVID and other things, and all of the things that have been put upon them to teach outside what they were taught to teach. So I'm a history buff. I love history. I like teaching history. I don't like teaching a social agenda of somebody else. Let me do the job I was trained to do, that I love to do. I will help kids love history as well. I'll teach it with a balanced point of view, those kinds of things. But unfortunately, teachers are abandoning the profession like crazy because it's just too hard doing what the political side wants you to do in education.
Well, folks, I wish we would have got to that subject way earlier and not the half a show on cocaine found at the White House. But
check your $20 bill out. It still says, "In God We Trust."
That's right, for the time being. Guillermo, Moreno, Larry Powell, and more importantly, y'all, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for logging in. Appreciate you so much. Just do your best and let God do the rest, and everything's going to be just fine.
Amen.
Love y'all. Bye-bye now.